Hello, good evening, and welcome to this special edition of TNT, TNT Dansk. TNT, as some of you may know, TNT used to stand for Tuesday Night Track. It was the track series that ran from about Christmas last year, and we ran it until the end of summer, but not getting so many regular crowds, but it has a lot of fans. Including the big Danish contingent, and they asked for a special request, but on a Monday night. So it's TNT on a Monday. What a great turnout we've got. We've got so far, with a minute and a half to go for the first race, 45 riders on the line, so we should have some fantastic racing tonight. The first race, so there are 5 races. Normally in the TNT series, I would usually have 4 races. And it's an omnium. So if you're not familiar with an omnium, it is an Olympic format and a track format that's used in many events around the world, where the place of each rider's place in each event is added up. So if you come first, second, third, first, fifth, then you add up 1, 2, 3, 1, 5, or whatever that is, 11, whatever it is, and the lowest score wins. So basically, you're trying to get the best finish you can in every race, and we try to do different things. So the first race we have tonight is a scratch race, which means it's just like a crit. It's drafting. It's on a crit circuit. You can see with the new above helicopter profile map there. So this will be a very straight race, but it's only 4 laps, just over 6 kilometers. But then coming up, we have some sprint racing. We have a very short sprint for the guys who do big power, the guys or women who do big power. We have a points race. We have a kilo, which is a 1 kilometer time trial. And to finish off, we have a classic elimination race. And the elimination race is something where you have to be very clever. So we're about to start now with the points race. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, we're off, and we're off to a very fast start. I can see some of the guys at the front there putting up over 10 watts per kilo as we get to an initial, as often happens in these crit races, it will settle down and get to an initial bunch, but you don't want to miss that bunch, because if you do, you're going to be off the back and have no draft, and you've got no chance of getting them on a short course like this. As you can see, I picked the Spring in Europe map for this one. It's based on a course in Denmark. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Flemming Bach, who is the sort of coordinator of the Danish cycle group, I think you can see him there on the screen. He gave me the course and said it was one that many of them do. I assume it's near Copenhagen. That was the course. And Paul Nichols, who I'm sure many of you have ridden Paul's roads. He is a wizard of the magic roads, and he put it together for me for this special event. So as we look at the front bunch now, we've got, that's a new name to me, as Appolido. I haven't seen that before. Kasper Pedersen there, Robbie Jenko. These are Pedersen and Jenko. They're riders who regularly did the TNT events. I can see Jakob Skovsgaard, Chris Bankras. So these are good. It's a good TNT turnout. Some of the old faces, but also a few new ones as well. So great to see them. So we're just coming up to the end of the first lap. We'll come down this long straight here, and this will be the first time they cross the finish line. So the final lap, coming around that corner, is going to be pretty crucial as to whether you get a good line and maybe get a few meters ahead of everybody. If you can get the inside line on those corners, you can get a bit of an advantage. So there we go, crossing the line for the first time, first lap down, and we've got a front bunch of maybe a bit over 20 riders. What have we got? 20, 21, 22, 23 riders there. Here we go, Kasper Hededam putting down some watts here, coming up to this corner, and he's joined by Robbie Jenko. We've got Flemming Bach on his tail, Kasper Pedersen, Rasmus Feldballer, another very strong rider. So it's pretty fast here. They're doing, what's that, over 40 kilometers an hour, 45. Certainly when we come down these straights, that's going around the corners. They're putting out some big watts there. I'm looking at Flemming on my screen, he's regularly doing over 400 watts to get up to these wheels. He's just coming up to this front group now, doing over 400 watts. I mean, he's knocking it back to 300 when he's in the wheels, but 400 to 600 watt efforts. And that's very much what track is like. It's one of the reasons I use these little crit circuits, usually in track league, certainly in the Omnium as well. There'll be a scratch race. It's often a long event in the Olympics and in the World Championships. It can be anything of 40 laps, just 10 kilometers, or even longer, 80 to 100 laps in a scratch race. But what you really get with track cycling is you really have to be able to dig in a lot. It's very up and down, probably even more so than a normal road race where you can often just be rolling along in a bunch. But in track, somebody's always making an attack. You've always, and especially in these short races, because people have the power, they know that they haven't got to stay away for a long time. So you've always got people breaking away, and you've got to try and catch the wheels, stay in the wheels, follow an attack, and so on. Look at all those Danish jerseys up front there. That sort of dark maroon color is the Danish cycling group. Oh, here we go. We've got Ilka, Belgium going away. Did I see Matthew Drujon? I did see Matthew Drujon there. Super strong rider. Here's Apellido, who is, well, Apellido, I was going to say in a Spanish way, but he's got a German flag. Is clearly wanting to race at the front of this group, front of this bunch. Guess he's putting up 3-4 watts per kilo. We'll see how he goes. Dunstan there. Pedersen, so the Danes coming back to the front. You can see even just to stay in the front around these corners, people are having to go into the red. You can see the red line under their names and the watts per kilo on the side there. So this is going to be pretty testy. We've still got a bunch of about 20 as we're into our third lap now. We've crossed the line twice. Here's Kasper Hededam. He's doing very well. He's putting effort in around these corners, which is what you have to do in a crit race. Crit races, you often get stretched out around the corners because the leaders can take the best line through a corner. They power out of the corner, and if you're at the back, you often get held up a bit. So you get that sort of caterpillar or capillary effect, and we're just seeing some riders being lapped now. You get that capillary effect, which actually, if you're at the back, although you would think that you get a lot of draft, it can be really difficult because you have to slow down more as you go into the corners, and then you have to accelerate more as you come out of them, and that takes a lot of effort. So now we've got Rasmus Feldballer taking a bit of a dig at the front. He's got a little bit of a gap there, 20 meters. I don't think that will hold, though. Rasmus is a super strong rider. If anyone could hold a gap or extend a gap like that, it's Rasmus, and he looks like he's going for it. This isn't, sometimes people go off the front and it's just accidental, and then they ease back. But Rasmus is really digging in here. He's staying at over 6 watts per kilo. He's got another lap to go, but that'll be 2 minutes. So if he can keep this up for 2 minutes, he's got a really good chance of staying away. He's extending the gap now. The chase seems to have fallen off a bit, and you've still got riders at the front doing 4-6 watts per kilo. If the group of them can keep doing that, they may reel him in. But Rasmus has got a handy lead now. It's coming back a little now. It's hovering at about mid 30 meters. That's not a lot in track terms or in any race terms, especially once people start to put in the big watts at the end of the race. So we've got under a kilometer now. We've got 1, 2, sort of three good corners to go. And obviously as a lone rider, he gets a little bit of advantage there. He's staying in at nearly 6 watts per kilo. 6 watts per kilo is what, if you can do 6 watts per kilo for a long time, that's what, a world tour rider, that's what your Egan Bernals and top climbers will do, going for short periods, going up a mountain for 15-20 minutes. So it's not beyond the possibilities for a very good amateur rider to keep that going for a couple of minutes. And Rasmus looks like he is definitely giving it a go. He's going up to 7 watts per kilo now. I think Rasmus is going to stay away here. I don't think they're going to catch him. He's kept it at 30 or 40 meters. He's only got 350 meters to go. Somebody's going to make a huge effort here. Matthew Drujon is capable of doing it. Did I see 10 watts per kilo? Oh, will they catch him? Will they reel him in? It's come down under 30 meters, 150 meters left, 15 meters, 10 meters. Oh, they're going to catch him. Oh, that is so cruel. What a great effort. Redpath there. No, Jared Miller. Jared Miller, very good sprinter. He'll do well in the next race. What a fantastic finish that was. So we've got Miller, Redpath, Jenko, Matthew Drujon. And the Danes were knocked out of the front group. Skovsgaard, Pedersen, Fleming Bark, Matthew Bergqvist, Swedish rider, Kasper Hededam, and Rasmus. Well, you know, he still finished top 10. He finished 10th after that fantastic effort. What a great effort that was, and what an exciting finish. The bunch just gave him enough rope to go out in front, but were able to claim him in the last 50 meters. A fantastic first race there. Okay, so we need to get across to the next race, and I am. This is the first time I was away last week. I know, you know, as many of you know, RGT dropped new apps last week, and they. Sorry, and I'm just trying to put it out. Yes, I would like to end my ride. So they dropped new apps last week, Screen app and the remote app, and I am using it for the first time because I was away for work last week when they dropped. So I'm just coming to grips with it and hopefully working it out. So our next race coming up is Flying Lap. I'm just logging in. I mean, I know I see them on RGT, so I see them on ZMS. As you are seeing, there we have the results there from the first race. Jared Miller there confirmed as the winner. Ryan Redpath, Robbie Jenko, Matthew Drujon, Jakob Skovsgaard, Kurt Pedersen, Fleming Bark, Matthias Bergqvist, Kasper Hededam, and Rasmus. And what have we got? Like a second. I mean, that's 1 second. Rasmus stayed away, and he still, you know, finished a second behind the leader. So that was a fantastic catch on the line there. So I see, ZMS just getting into the second lap there. We've got about 7 minutes to start. That's okay. Usually with the Omniums, I try to give them at least 5 minutes to finish. And obviously some of the slower riders, I mean, we saw some riders being lapped. So, you know, while Jared and those guys took 8 minutes, some of the other riders will take closer to, over 9 minutes or 10 minutes to finish. So nice to give them a little bit of a breather before we start the next race. And obviously with the, I mean, this is what it's like in track events, that it's a fairly, you know, you go to Track League or you go to, I mean, if you've ever been to watch any track events, they really keep it moving. It's worth going. If you're in a city where they have something like 6-day events, go along and have a look. They're fantastic. It's always something happening. They make sure that, you know, they have because there's 2 riders in each team. Sometimes there'll be a sprint, and one of the riders will be the designated sprinter, and then there'll be another event, you know, maybe a Derny race or something like that, and the other rider will take that race. So it ends up, you know, you get a sort of non-stop action on the track at these events. I really love it. If you ever get a chance to go to any of the 6 days or any of the other events, do it, because they're really, really fun. And if you like, well, I mean, some of them actually at the moment, I think finishes this weekend. The Ghent 6 Day is on this week. The Ghent 6 Day is the it's the Uber of 6-day track riding. It's at the track in Ghent in Belgium, where cycling generally and track riding in particular is a massive sport. And the Ghent 6 Day is the one that everybody wants to go to. It's famous for drinking lots of beer and eating frites and mayonnaise and watching the races. And it's very prestigious, obviously, for the riders to win. I don't know if you saw that Mark Cavendish was there and had a bit of a bad crash, broke a couple of ribs and punctured a lung when there was a bit of a patch on the track. So I'm just giving some messages on screen for everybody. You don't see the message on screen, but I need to brief everybody for this race, which is the flying lap. So in normal real life track cycling, just some people are asking questions. So I just need to answer them. So people are asking about the timing. So because this is a delayed start, so everybody is set off at, I think, 5-second intervals I set. So everybody will have a different countdown on their screen. So you see a time trial starting in 5:21, but that will be for the ZMS camera. On my screen that I've got going, I've got time trial starting in 3:22. That's because so it goes in the order that you log in on the line. So everybody will have different starts, and you'll start to see riders going off one by one. So this is a flying lap on a real track, in a real life track. It wouldn't be one lap like this is. What you get is you get 3 laps to sort of warm up, or you sort of go around slowly for the first lap, and then you start to pick up speed. And in the 3rd lap, it's the final 200 meters. And the aim is, the art of doing a flying lap in real life is to make sure you're at maximum speed. You want to be sort of coming down the banking on the track, hitting maximum speed just before you cross the 200 meter line, and being able to keep that up for the next 200 meters. So it's about building up your speed and hitting it at exactly the right time. If you look on YouTube, you'll see some great examples of that from Olympics and World Cups and so on. You don't want to be down the bottom of the track. You want to be, usually the 200 meter line still is a little bit on the banking, so you want to be able to use a little bit of that banking that helps you with your speed, and then go down to the bottom of the track, to the black line, because that's obviously the shortest route around the final corner. So in this flying lap, the RGT version, it's not, we can't do the warm-up laps, but what we do is we do a staggered start, so people go off at their own time, and the power and speed is capped until they cross the line. You can see on the screen there that overhead arch. So it particularly makes it more of an effect to the riders in the back rows there. So they are capped at, I'm not sure what the watts are, but it'll come up on screen. They're capped at, I think it's 10 kilometers an hour until they cross that line. So the timing element is there. A bit like, it's like, I like it. It's like the flying lap. You have to, if you go full on when your time counts down, then you'll have wasted the first few seconds. When you're really getting high power, you'll have wasted those first few seconds. So the art here is to obviously build up, and you want to be pedaling pretty strongly, but really hit it as you cross the line and keep it going for the lap. And obviously this is this course is the Izu Velodrome. Obviously, if you watch the Olympics, Izu was the location of the track cycling in the Olympics. It's also the location. Oh, here we go. I got our first rider going off. Who's that? Ryan Miller going off there. So we'll see them going off pretty short order. So 5 seconds intervals, and it'll only take them 15 seconds to get around, I would think. So we've got riders going off at 5 second intervals, coming across the line. Some of them will catch the riders in front, but this is an absolute full gas effort. For this 15 seconds, you want to be able to do your maximum power. So we should see riders, there we've got people going to 10 watts per kilo, 10 watts per kilo. I wouldn't be surprised if people like Mathieu Drujon, Casper, Rasmus, Jared is a very good sprinter, Jared Miller, who won, who did well in the previous race. Those guys should be actually over 10 watts per kilo as we go. They've got Chris Bankras, over 10 watts per kilo. Seeing his, Appolito there at 7-8 watts. So, if you can keep up more than 10, wow, Ilka, 14 watts per kilo I saw there. These are huge efforts that people are putting on here. So 17, 18 seconds, Rob Miller there, yep. Oh, sorry, I said Ryan Miller, Rob Miller. That's a really good time, but there'll be a few riders who will potentially beat that. I'm trying to think back. I mean, the courses vary, but I think I've seen times of 15, 16 seconds on this course, so we'll see if anybody gets under that. Yep, there we've got a top 10 there. Still got quite a few riders to go off. What sort of power are we seeing? Looking on my screen there. Yeah, we're still seeing more than 10 watts per kilo. Ah, Martin Oram there jumps into the hot seat with 17.4, so half a second ahead of Rob Miller. That's pretty good going at this. You know, for 17 seconds, half a second is a pretty good gap to have. Not seeing anyone there. We've still got a few riders to go off on the line, so still at 5 seconds, because the difficulty for me with scheduling this is not knowing how many riders we have. So 30, 40 is about right. I figured that that's what we might have. So at 5 second intervals, obviously got 12 riders per minute, so it should be finished over the course of 3 minutes, and that should work for the next race. So yeah, that's the message going on for the cameras. As you saw, it was telling them to get going. And the last of the riders going off there, Simonson going off. Wow, Francis Lambert has gone off. Robbie Janko, 2 riders at 17.3 seconds there, who've jumped over the others into the hot seat. So some great times coming on here. I'm going to call up RGTDB and I'll be able to give you very exact times for these races. And yeah, what do we got? So still Francis Lambert. I think we're down to the last riders. Is that someone still on the line? I mean, it could be that someone's still on the line and hasn't finished. So we've got a spread from 17.3 up to Mike 30 seconds. And Mike's a pretty strong rider, I think, so maybe he had a problem going through there. So yeah, 22. So, you know, not too far off. I remember somebody saying after doing a flying lap on one of the velodromes that they were only, 2 seconds off the world record for the flying 200, which, is probably true, but when you're talking about 15 seconds, that's quite a lot. So I'm going to just import these times and we'll get an exact time on them. Oh, there we go. Damon's done that on ZMS too. So 16.5 for Jared Miller. Wow. I said 16 seconds. So there you go, Jared Miller. That's won the first race. Antoine Renou, that's pretty good. I didn't realize Antoine was such a good sprinter. Although I should realize, because I raced him on Sunday and he out-sprinted me at the end. So I don't feel so bad now seeing that time. So 16.5 seconds for Jared Miller, 14 watts per kilo for 16 seconds. That is absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to think whether I've ever done 14 watts per kilo. Maybe, yeah, no, I don't think I have. Probably about 12 or 13 is the maximum that I have ever even touched, let alone for 16 seconds. So that's a fantastic result for Jared there. No wonder he's one of the gold riders. So there, I think everybody's across the line now. So Jared will definitely have a lead in the Omnium. So remember I was saying how the Omnium is scored, and he will have 2 1s against his name. So he's definitely in the lead. I'm just getting on to the next ride so that I can brief them on what is happening. So this next one is one where I have to explain to everybody what is happening. You and also the riders. And I may be a little bit distracted while I do that because it's a bit complicated. Oh gosh, and we've only got 2 minutes, so I need to make sure they understand what they're doing. It's a points race, which means that they don't need to worry about the elimination. So it uses the elimination format, but they don't need to worry about when they're eliminated. So because in the elimination I can't fix the number of laps, so what I've done is told them that they get scored, and I need to write it down, which is another reason why I might be slightly distracted. They get scored for 20 laps. So if you've ever done an elimination race on RGT, every time there is an elimination lap, there's a message that comes up on screen that says, you know, so-and-so has initiated the elimination lap. So that person will be the winner of the lap, and they score a point. So it doesn't matter. You could score 5 points and then be eliminated on lap 6. But if no one else scores more than 5 points or wins more than 5 laps, you'll be the winner of the race, and I will adjust the race, adjust the rides manually. So I'm just going to put the message on again. And let me just check that everyone understands. So I'm just saying, everyone understand? 21 plus 20 laps. My typing skills are not very good. 1 plus 20 laps, and the aim is to win laps. Don't worry. No, 1 point per lap. So okay, we've got 13 seconds. I'm hoping that they understand. I mean, I did write it in the entry, but I know nobody reads that. So 5 laps as we go off. I need to make sure I write down the winners of each lap. I need to also make sure I'm following somebody so that I can see who is riding. We've got people going off. Okay. I need to come, and sorry for my slight distraction, but this is a complicated one. I need to make sure I get up and find somebody. There we go, Rasmus. I'll follow Rasmus. And I need to change the camera so I get a good look at that. So this is our first, that's our neutral lap. So elimination lap initiated there by by Mike Ady. So well done, Mike. So, okay, Mike Ade gets 1 point. So he has initiated the first elimination lap. So there'll be 20 laps. So Chris Bankrust has left the race. Well, you know, I think he had a problem on the line. I saw him waiting on the line. So, and now they're fighting now. We've got riders up the front fighting. You can see Matthew Bergqvist. Oh, there he's being rolled just on the line. Elimination by Rasmus Felddahl. So Rasmus scores a point. So the idea of this, and what can happen in this race, is that, you know, maybe one rider can actually get away, and the other riders, because only one person scores a point in each lap, if you chase down that rider, if you do the work of chasing down that rider, but you've got riders on your wheel, you can then get just rolled as they can pass you as you cross the line, so you get no reward. So Matthew Drijon here has made a good effort there. He's initiated the elimination lap, and he will get away. But what can sometimes happen is a rider can get away, and especially if riders already have points. So if you've got, you know, a couple of points in the bag and somebody else is out the front, it doesn't actually matter if they score 10 points or 15 points. To you, it makes no difference. If they've got more points than you and you're not going to catch them, it doesn't matter. But what you want is for somebody else. If you've got, say, 3 points and somebody else has got 10, then what you want is not for the person who's got 10 to have 8, 12, 15, whatever. It doesn't matter to you. What you want is the other people not to outscore you. So it's a really tactical it's a really tactical race. And sometimes a rider can be allowed to get away because some of the other strong riders who maybe already have points think, well, I'm not going to chase him. And other riders, will try and chase, and they'll catch them just ahead of the line, but they won't get the points because somebody's on their wheel and nips across just as they cross the line. So it's actually also a really cruel race, actually, too. It can be really hard. Sometimes people do a lot of work and get nothing for it. So we're seeing some riders. So Matthew Drujon now scores his second points. Matthew is a very, very strong rider. Used to be on a professional team, which explains a lot. So we're also seeing, as you see the messages there, seeing some riders being lapped. This is a fairly short course. I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's the Helsinki Velodrome. So it's only a 400-meter course, which means that obviously riders get caught and will catch up. So who's crossing the line now? Fleming Bach. There we go. Well done, Fleming. So what I've told them is that it's only 20 laps. So we'll see how many riders. I think we'll still have riders left in the race when we get to the end of 20 laps. So I will give them a message on screen, and hopefully they will stop if people understand what they're supposed to be doing. I've done this a few times in TNT, but we always ended up not quite getting to 20 laps. Of course, in a real track race, a real life track race, you would have a commissaire on the screen who would be able to, fire a gun or blow a whistle or whatever it is. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to give them a bit of a message as we get through. So is elimination on? Yes, it is. Sorry, that was a message that somebody sent on the chat, which I didn't see. But we'll catch that. So Matthew Drujon has got 3 points in the bag now. Rasmus Feldbola is up there fighting with him for the points. Matthew putting in a big effort as we come up to the line around this last little bend coming up to the thing. Oh, Rasmus has come back. I think he's going to hold off Matthew. Oh, yes, I think he did. Oh, no, he didn't. Matthew got it. Oh, like I said, it's a cruel race. You can do all that effort and somebody times it just right and you get rolled on the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to give them a message when we get to 10 so that they get some idea. Because again, on a real life track, you would have a lap counter. So you know how many laps you've done. I mean, actually, in an elimination race, you don't do that because it depends on the number of people in the race. But in a race where there is a certain number of laps, you would have a lap counter. So Rasmus, I think, has had enough of Matthew sitting on his wheel and chasing him. And Rasmus has decided that he's going to get away and he's going to hoover up some points. So 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this will be lap 10. So I'll give them a message when we cross. That's 10 laps. 10 to go when we cross the line this time. And this will be Rasmus. So he will go on to 3 points. There we go. Rasmus gets 3, and I'm going to give them the message there. Okay. Hopefully they will see that. Matthew's chasing him down. Matthew's not going to let this go. Again, another thing about track racing and the guys who are really good at it, and girls, sorry. And there are some fantastic female track riders, especially in the UK. Is that Katie Archibald? If you've seen any recent track racing in the World Championship, Katie Archibald is just absolutely dominant in female track riding at the moment. She seems to just win at will and bend the field to her amazing powers. So you see the good track riders. They've got to keep all these things in their head. I mean, on a big event, you've got a screen and it will display points. But there's so many calculations going on if you're in a race. You've got to think, is the rider up ahead? Is he ahead of me? Has he scored points? Have I scored points? Where did I come? There's a lot of tactics that go on, and there's a lot that you have to do in your head as the race happens. So Rasmus now has got 5. So I think Matthew, being an experienced racer, will have a sense that even if he doesn't know exactly, he'll have a sense that Rasmus is picking up points. But this might be somewhere where Matthew says, okay, I don't care, I'm second, I don't really need to worry. It's for you guys if you want to score points. So we see here Pedersen, Skovgaard, Robbie Jenko, I think, is behind there. Is Matthew even in this group? Redpath. So none of these guys have points, which is sort of, so, you know, Mike Ade, who, Matthew is in the points list. So Mike Ade, who scored on the first lap, Skovgaard does have a point, sorry, and Fleming Bach has a point. But in terms of Redpath and some of the other riders in that group, they have no points. So it doesn't matter that they're second, third, fourth, fifth. They are on the lap. They don't have points, and if you don't have points in this event, well, what do we know? Points mean prizes. So you need points to get up. So we now see Pedersen trying to take it up. He needs to get some points if he's going to get anything out of this race. Normally I use the elimination order to separate any ties. In this case, because we'll have more riders than the 20 laps, everybody who doesn't have points will just finish on 0, basically, and the other riders will finish ahead of them. I will use the order to eliminate. So they're catching Rasmus now. So okay, that's good riding. They've caught up. Skovgaard has caught Rasmus, and now we'll see whether this cruel race takes a toll. So Skovgaard has done the work, and Pedersen to catch up. Is he going to get pipped on the line, or is he going to take this? Oh, Fleming crossed the line. So Skovgaard has taken that. So he moves up to 2 points. What have we got? 6, 10, 12, 13, 14. Not sure how many riders we still have left in the race. We may not get to 20, which in a way would actually make me quite happy, because it is going to be difficult to get people. What I need them to do, if we're going to finish after 20 laps, is for them to actually stop riding and for somebody to eliminate. I think actually, given that we don't have that many riders left in the race, I will probably just let them go and let them finish. So Rasmus Felddahl getting another point there, so he moves up to 7. He's ahead of Matthew Drujon with 4, Skovgaard with 2, Fleming Bach, who was eliminated, surprisingly. Fleming normally does well in these. He was eliminated a couple of laps ago. He's on 1. Mike Ade on 1, who was eliminated quite early on. So now we've got Pedersen, and is that Skovgaard, or is it Felddahl on his wheel? They're eliminating, who's that? Riders 7 and 8. So that means we only have 6 riders left in the race. So we're actually not going to quite make it to 20 laps. Pedersen there. Well done, Pedersen. So he goes onto the scoreboard with 1. So that's 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16 laps done. And 6 riders, and normally in the elimination it goes down to the final 3. So if 6 riders left, that only means we've got 3. So we're going to end up at about 20 laps, maybe 19 or 20 laps. So that's pretty much perfect. That's great, because otherwise I would have had to ask them to stop and then ask somebody to go around and eliminate the other riders so that the race finishes in terms of, you know, the computer program. Rasmus there sealing his dominance in this race, but it was good that we had a big field and good that a few people played it tactically. So now these two, they have a pretty unbeatable gap here on the riders behind. The other reason I was keen to keep this to 20 laps is, so there we have Redpath and Jenko in 3rd and 4th, but it won't do them any good because they have no points. Matthew Drujon has been eliminated. He might as well save his effort. He's not going to get Rasmus. He's not going to overtake Rasmus in first place. He's got 4 points. It's unlikely that he's going to be overtaken, so he might as well settle down. So Pedersen there goes up to 2 points. And I think pretty soon we might have the final lap. Once it gets down to 3, we have the final lap. So we'll see as those 2 riders behind cross the line who is eliminated, because of course the message doesn't come up. Rasmus now going for it. He's decided that he's going to stay away. Skovsgaard there is going to be eliminated on this lap, I suspect. But that's fine. He's got points in the bag. Well done. There, Skovsgaard was eliminated, and if I remember correctly, he was in 5th place. So this means we should only have 1 more lap, and then it will be the final lap. There we go. Feldballer there in 9. So what have we got? 9, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. This will be the 20th lap. Perfect. Wow. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? 20 laps exactly. That's great. So it worked out perfectly. And also for my timing, because it was more than 20 laps, then I would have had a problem. If it was significantly more than 20 laps, the timing of the next race might not have worked so well. So Rasmus is going to cross the line for the final time. He's already got the race in the bag, so it will make no difference, but we'll give him another point, and he will finish on 10. Well done. We'll see. Probably in the next race, I'll have people complaining that they didn't understand, but no, that's track racing. And the finish, well done. Finish, well done. Oops, okay. So I need to jump on to the next race now. And, oh gosh, Damon's way ahead of me. 4 minutes to go. The timing is tight. This one is going to be a short one. It's what we call a kilo, as in 1 kilometer. It's a track classic. I'm going to keep doing that. It's a track classic. It used to be in the official Olympic Omnium, but it's been taken away, much to the disappointment of track purists. The kilometer time trial. And also the 4 kilometer individual pursuit, which if any of you've seen that, someone like Bradley Wiggins was fantastic. That's where you have you still get the team time trial, but the individual time trial, I really used to love that, where you get the 2 riders across the track from each other and you get the splits. So let me just give them a little bit of a briefing on this one. Here we go. Yeah, somebody on the chat saying my legs are not used to high intensity races. So I'm just saying in the points. Big win for Rasmus. There we go. So this is so this is a 1 kilometer time trial, and it's unlike the flying lap from before. It's a mass start, but no draft. So it is a time trial. They'll all go off together, so they'll be able to use each other to pace, but they won't be able to use each other to draft. And 1 kilometer, that should be just over a minute. I'd expect the top riders here to be doing maybe 1:10. I'm trying to think I think the world record for the 1 kilo it's definitely under a minute. I think it's close to, I think it might even be under 50 seconds. I mean, those guys can make huge speed from a standing start. I'll look it up if I get a chance. So we've got 2 minutes left for this race. Let me go back and import. Oh no, I can't really. This is the problem of doing the points race, is that I import the results, but obviously it won't, because I need to adjust them afterwards. It won't quite work. I need to do some complicated maths in my head, and adjust the points in RGTDB so that everybody comes out ahead, and it's not always easy. It's certainly not easy to be doing it while I talk to you and give instructions to riders on the screen. That would be 3 things at once, which is just, I'm afraid, beyond me. So I'm not going to even try. But I'll have a look and see where Rasmus came in those first few events, and see how he went in that. Where are we going? So I am now trying to get the spectate view and try to see. Yep, here we go. Who am I going to follow? Will I follow Miller? He did well in the first one. No, I've lost him. Bergqvist is good. Actually, Bergqvist is a very good. Yeah, I'm going to follow Matthew Bergqvist and my thing. Normally in the TNTs, I often used to have a longer time trial, like 5-6 kilometer time trial. Bergqvist was an expert at timing his power beautifully, and often people would go out fast, but he would make sure that he had a consistent power throughout the event. So I think he might do quite well in this time trial. Obviously the usual suspects, Matthew, Dujon, Rasmus, Fleming Bach will also do well. So we've got 5 seconds now. We'll see them all go off, but remember there's no draft. They'll all go off together. Here we go. So you'll see some riders will go out very fast. Brandy there, going off fast. Mike 80 is going off fast. Rasmus Feldball, Robijenko, who I'd expect. Robijenko is very strong. Jared Miller. But I suspect these people right at the front there. So Brandy already dropping back through the ranks. Rasmus maintaining a good effort there. A little bit of a gap there to those front 4 riders. Jared Miller, there's Matthias Bergqvist in 7th place. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't end up a little bit higher than that, and the pack altogether. So Mike 80 doing well there, maintaining good power. He's getting sort of 6-7 watts per kilo. If he can keep that going, he might well stay away. Then we've got Alan McIntyre, another TNT regular. Hey, Alan. Francis Lambert there. Pedlers. 80 still keeping his lead, as we've got 170, 180 meters to go. But who's this coming up behind him? Robichenko. Wow, that's a good effort from Robichenko. And Lambert coming up in there. He's going to take the win. Wow, that's quite a surprising effort there. Robichenko behind him. I know Robbie is a one of the vets, one of the older riders. So often vets are actually quite good at this sort of thing because they know their power, they know what they can do. And vets, you tend to get a bit more, less top end and more diesel as you go along. But I know this isn't quite diesel. This is still pretty much sprinting. So there's our top 10 already. So we've got Lambert in 1st place, Robbie Janko, Jared Miller. Oh, still a few riders finishing. Who's that coming across the line there? Somebody possibly, that seems to be very far back. Possibly they had a mechanical issue as they went along, or is that, no, that's the ZMS camera, I think. So who else am I seeing there? Carlos Ross, he was a regular in the TNTs too, so he seems to be he's already finished, so everyone's finished. I'm going to jump across to the next event, the final event of tonight's TNT Dansk. And there we see there's Francis Lambert there, 113. So yeah, I said about 110 for the winners. So that seems to be how they've gone there. Robbie Janko, Jared Miller, Rasmus Feldbauer. So Jared, having won the having done well in the first couple of races, could be up very high in the overall standings, and I'll try and work that out. But first of all, I need to get into the next race so that I can follow it and give them instructions on screen. And how long did I leave them for this one? Oh no, so this is Helsinki Velodrome. The previous one was Herne Hill Velodrome, which I missed telling about because it is my local velodrome. It's where I ride track. Used to race, and now I don't race now, but I go to some of the events. Gosh, 239, I really made this hard for them, but anyway, that's fine. They'll live. Let me just give them a bit of a Final race, standard elimination or devil, and yeah, I see in the chat Matthew Drujon. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Matthew Drujon. Sorry, it was another French rider called Matthew Chris. I guess C. Matthew Christophe maybe. Can't imagine how legs must be burning for the last eliminated riders. So that's true, and I think you saw in the points race, Matthew Drujon sort of towards the end just thought, right, I've had enough. I need to actually get a bit of a rest before the sprint race. So let me go back to the series and import those the kilo results, and then I will get a good idea of who is doing well. So it's not going to be exact because it won't have all the adjusted rides from the points race, but I will be able to see who's, gosh, Robbie Jenko doing well there. I mean, it's a bit out of whack because of the elimination race, but Robbie Jenko, I didn't realize he'd done so well. He's had a third, a fourth, a third, and a second. He's been consistently up there. Well done, Robbie. Rasmus, yeah, didn't do so well in the first race, 10-9 the first couple, then won the points, and then fourth in the sprint. Fleming is up there. Jared, yeah, Jared didn't do so well in the points race, but has had otherwise a first, and a third. So I need to adjust these points because it's distorting the events. So we've got 30 seconds now until the final race, which is the elimination race on Helsinki Olympic Velodrome. Like Hernhill, Helsinki Velodrome was built for the Olympics, but it was built for the 1940 Olympics, which for obvious reasons didn't happen. And then they used it again when Helsinki hosted the 1952 Olympics, which does give it a connection with Hernhill, because Hernhill was used in the 1948 Olympics, which were held in London, so I'm just trying to get in and make sure I can watch this race and go up to some of the riders. Why is that not working for me? No. There we go. Right, sorry. Right, I'm trying to get into the pack and follow somebody here. Who can I follow who's unlikely to get eliminated early on? Well, we'll see. I mean, the thing with this race is the elimination race is, you know, it's a very, very tactical race. And it often goes to the cleverest rider, not necessarily the strongest rider. So I'm trying to find somebody who I'm going to put my money on. There's Rasmus, there's Alan Redpath. Who we got? Keeps changing around. Matthew Vistula, Lambert, Matthew Bark, Bottigliero, Pedersen. Okay, I'm going to follow there. There we go. So, as I say, we've still got a decent bunch there. There goes Miller off the front. But so the trick here is to just, I mean, in the early races, the early laps, you're not going to be eliminated when you're up in this front bunch, because people, as we see here, will have been dropped off the pace of this front bunch, which probably has maybe 25, 30 riders in it. Of course, in real life, where you can see, you know, it's much easier to see people on the track. Often the riders up front, you know, it can be often it's just a steady pace at the front of an elimination race, because if the riders at the front, they know that, you know, physically riders can't get past them, and therefore they don't need to worry too much, especially in the first elimination laps. It's only later on that things get a little bit more fluid as there gets to be more space on the track where you have physical limitations. Really exciting race to watch on a modern velodrome where you get There is a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but where the banking on the corners widens, and then as it comes down to the flat on the straight, it narrows, and that's where the finishing point is. So that can often be quite a choke point, and people are literally jostling. They're literally elbow to elbow, trying to sort of lean against one another as they try to avoid elimination. And the back is the worst place to be in the elimination race, the back and down low, because you've got nowhere to go. At least if you're up the top, you can maybe get around and get ahead of somebody. But if you're down the bottom, you haven't got time to get around, and you can get overtaken by the riders up the top and eliminated. So in this race, we're having 2 riders. So it's slightly different to where it normally happens in real life. Normally that's 1 rider out every couple of laps. Here, because we can change it around on RGT, because of the fantastic race parameters they have. So I like to change things around. So we've got 2 riders out every second lap. And we've still got a decent bunch here. So at some point, it's going to be clear to them that the riders will come out of this bunch. So as I said, we're not seeing an elimination message until well after the riders cross the line. So that means that the riders being eliminated are not in this bunch yet. But of course, it's difficult to think about that when you're in the race. Basically, these guys are just going to assume that they are the ones potentially being eliminated. There we go. Carlos Ross has been lapped and eliminated, so he'd have been way behind Zimmerman. And he was just ahead of that bunch. So, and there's an elimination lap coming up, initiated by Autumn. So somebody will, eliminated on this. So we've got 22 in the bunch there. So I think there are still riders out on the track that are not in this bunch who will be eliminated. So these guys don't need to worry quite yet. But as I say, that's difficult for them to think about when they're out there. And I have seen people in these elimination races thinking, oh, it's okay, I not need to be worried yet. And then suddenly, because somebody gets lapped rather than eliminated, the bunch that they're in becomes the one where the eliminations are coming from, and they're at the back, and they go out without even realizing it. So it really is a race where you have to think, you have to pay attention, you have to always be thinking about where you are, thinking about where the eliminations are, and making sure that you're in the right place at the right time, exactly the right time, which is as you cross the line. So riders still way off this bunch. Korteman's there, crossed the line last and has been eliminated. Another elimination lap being initiated by Rasmus Felddahl there. And I don't think we've seen the second rider eliminated yet. So again, I think it'll be somebody off this bunch. But these guys are taking no chances, and that's clever of them. You can't take chances. If you do, you will increase the risk that you are going to be eliminated. So Jakob Skovskar there, taking their chances, putting a bit of a sprint as he comes to the line to make sure that he is not at the back of the bunch as they cross. And we will soon see somebody eliminated, but it's not instant, so it means that it's not from this gap. I'm not sure, maybe a lot of these guys think of it, you have to do this a lot, and of course I've been putting these on each week for a long time, and so I get a bit of a better sense of the tactics, but it's really hard. Really, I understand it's really hard to think about those things when you're in the bunch. But hopefully some of the clever riders will be thinking, Lambert crossed the line and has been eliminated last. He put in such a good effort on the kilo time trial. I guess he can be forgiven for not having the legs to stay with the bunch on this race. So Rasmus now making sure that he's not going to be in the back of the bunch when they cross the line. Putting in some big watts there. Will that tell on him towards the end? I mean, it really is, as I said before, track racing is so up and down. You can get, especially in a longer race, just the effort of making those repeated efforts really takes a toll. As we say, or a lot of coaches saying, racing, you burn matches. The person with the most matches to burn is the one who ends up winning the race. But every time you make a little sprint, you're burning a match. You even see that with, very high level pros. Yep, Rasmus Feldbahl initiating another elimination map. Yeah, that's one of the reasons if you ever watch, like the Tour de France, where often someone like Mark Cavendish or one of the riders who are trying to contest the final sprint on a stage, they won't sprint for the intermediates, which have lower points. And, you think, well, if they're doing a 150 kilometer stage, it's an intermediate that's maybe at 90 kilometers. They've got another 50, 60 kilometers to rest. But even just making that effort, it's, as far as they're concerned, it's a match that they've burned, and they don't want to do anything. First rule of racing, never do anything you don't have to. It's simple as that. So if you don't need to contest those intermediate sprints, you don't. You save your matches for the final sprint, and hopefully that's where you do well. So we've got a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a group breaking off the front here. Skovsgaard, Bach. It's a bit of a very heavy Danish group. Skovsgaard, Bach, Fistul, I think, is there. Drob, Ordum. Oh yeah, a little Danish breakaway. There's Dunstan being lapped and eliminated. So that's one of the things that happens here. If you get lapped, then obviously zeroed out. We've got a lot of massive Danish jerseys up the front there, with one black jersey. I'm not sure who that is, but I'll try and get a sense of it. Danish breakaway. Who is that? Who is that jersey that's with them there? I think it might be Matthias. Yes, it is Matthias Bergqvist. There we go. We're seeing it. So it's a Nordic breakaway plus a Swede. So Danish breakaway plus a Swede. Roku across the line. So what are we down to now? I'm trying to see what this second group. So we've got a group of 6 riders who've broken away, and then there's a chasing group which has still got maybe 9-10 riders in it, and I suspect that this will very soon be coming the elimination. So we've got someone about to be, are they going to be lapped or are they going to be eliminated? Yep, they're being lapped. This can be tricky because that person was lapped. So if somebody was out on the road or on the lap, on an elimination lap, and that person was lapped before they got to the line, then suddenly they go from being they might have been the third last rider on the road, if you see what I mean. But then that person got lapped, so they become the second last rider, and therefore are eliminated. So that's another way where things can just catch you catch you by surprise in this race. So Hansen there from ECKD, the Danish riders, has been eliminated. Another elimination lap. Still got this chasing bunch, but that's a very strong breakaway. Very strong breakaway. Flemming Bach, Rasmus Felddahl, Jakob Skovsgaard. Is Matthias still with them? Yes, he is. Orem, that's a super strong breakaway getting away there. It's going to be really tough for the riders behind. And what's the gap there? Maybe 30, 40 meters? It's a tough gap for them. I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, the Omnium, as we said before, the Omnium is about where you finish. So every race where you finish ahead of somebody is a race, is a result. You're getting another point every time you finish higher by one place. When I used to race these myself, I would be thinking, I've just got to, especially on the track. So on the track, you get points for the first 6 riders. So often on track, you get, especially when you get down to the last 8 or 9, you're thinking, I've just got to hold on here. You sort of set yourself a mental target. You think, I've got to hold on. I've got to stay here for, finishing 7th is like, it's like finishing 4th in a classic sort of podium thing. You don't want to finish 7th and be, have made all that effort to finish out of the points. So if you get to those that last sort of 8 or 9, you're thinking, great, I've just got to hold on and get into the points. And then, you try and hold on for another lap, or sometimes people get into the points, they get 6th or 5th and they think, well, that's good enough. I didn't expect that. So I'm just going to let it go, and I'll be happy with that. It depends whether you're a rider who's or if you're in a league or you're in an omnium or whatever. It depends if you're a rider who's got aims or designs of finishing at the very top, or you've just got an aim of finishing respectably, which for most riders is what it's about, or maybe doing better than you've done in previous races. So we've still got this group of 7 riders. It is still 7, 1, 2, 3, no, 6 riders, sorry, up front. I think someone might have dropped off, but we still got this largely Danish and certainly Nordic group of riders up ahead. I thought for a moment that the Danish riders all had matching bikes, but no, they don't. They do have different bikes. Otherwise, that would be quite an impressive look. So Miller across the line. So eliminations are coming out of the group behind now, so they really need to think about it, and that will spur them possibly to catch this group because they're now afraid of being eliminated from this group. It means every time they cross the line, there'll be a bit of a burst of speed, and that's often where you catch the riders in front. And often actually in real races, real life races, when there's, say, a points race, which might have points every 4 laps or 5 laps, then as you cross the line for the points, there's a big burst. Everybody's sprinting to cross the line for first, and then they ease off. And that can often be a good time to attack. If you see it on TV or in the Olympics, that's often when some riders will choose to attack because the rest of the bunch thinks, oh, I've made that sprint effort, I'm going to ease off now, and that's when somebody can get away. And because in a points race on track, if you gain a lap on the field, if you lap the field, you get an extra 20 points. Of course, we can't do that in RGT, but we do the best with the tools that we have, which is plenty for exciting racing. So we've still got that group of 6 up front, and now these 3 riders behind, they're battling it out to make sure they're not eliminated, because the elimination is going to come from here. So I don't think they're going to catch the group in front now. So it's a sort of whoever survives out of this little group of 3 is going to have one more lap. There's the elimination lap. Who's it going to be? Robbie Janko and Redpath are crossing the line there. Miller, I think it could be Miller. I suspect he's not been eliminated yet because there's somebody out the back of that group. Oh, Robbie falling off the bunch of 3 there. So maybe there are a couple of riders behind, but the way that the elimination works is there can often be a little bit of a delay because the rider has to cross the line behind them. And that was the elimination lap. That was just me being silly and not realizing that it was the first of the 2 laps, not the second. So 2 of those 3 were eliminated. It was Robbie, I think, was eliminated there. And now it will be coming down to this group of 6. So now these guys will really start to fight it. Now, I think it was Apolido and Jenko that were eliminated on that previous one. But the other rider in that group, Miller, yep, Jared's still riding there, but he won't be able to catch this group, so he'll be eliminated at the end of this lap, and one of these riders. So we're down to eliminations in the front group now. Aurum looks like he's given up. Often happens. You think, okay, I've got this far, I've done well, I'm going to give up and let the others go on now. So this lap it'll be Miller and Aurum that are eliminated, which brings us down to a group of 5. Don't forget, this goes to the final 3, and the final 3 fight it out for the last lap. So Redpath there, he's in 7th place. He's been lap eliminated. I didn't realize he was out between the 2 groups. But he won't be an elimination. If they'd have left him until they crossed the line, he would have been able to take the elimination from one of these guys. But they've lapped him, so he's out. So it means it comes down to this group. So what do we got left now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. So there'll be one more elimination lap from here. If there aren't any other riders out on the course. I don't think there are, but I could be wrong there. And then it will be the final 3 who do 1 lap. So even though we've had eliminations every 2 laps, final lap, there we go. there's only one lap. So Feldebala and Fist are the last two to be eliminated, and now we have Skovsgaard, Bach, and Pedersen fighting it out for the final lap. My money's going to be on Fleming here. Fleming's had a quiet night so far. He's a strong rider. He always does well in the Devil. Pedersen there on his wheel. We're into the red as we come around to the final curves. What have we got? Oh, there it is. Oh, Pedersen. Pedersen just got ahead of Bach as they crossed the line. So I thought we had a few more meters to go. Maybe Fleming did as well. And Skovsgaard in third. But great race there. Really good racing. I'm just going to send them a message on screen to say exactly that. Great racing, everyone. I will adjust the results, the points. My fat fingers. I will adjust the points and on RGT DB and calculate the overall winner. Okay, great stuff. Great to be back. Okay, so let me see if I can do a quick. It's going to be really difficult with the points race, but let's have a look at who won that last final race there. Let's see if I can import the results quickly. So in the final Devil there, we had Kurt Pedersen won, Nicola Fleming, Skovsgaard, Rasmus in fourth, Matthias Bergpass fifth, Martin Oram, Ryan Redpath, Robbie Jenko did well in eighth, Rob Miller in ninth, Stefan Appolido in 10th. And all together, how many did we have finishing that last race? So we had, maybe 30, 35 riders finishing that last race. So that's a great turnout. It's good to see so many people doing the races. I need to work out the overall results, but I'm guessing that it could be, let me make a bold and probably wrong prediction based on what we've seen so far. Can't remember where, no, Robbie didn't score in the points race. Mine, I think it's going to be between Rasmus, maybe Fleming. Rasmus did, because Rasmus won the points race. So Rasmus is on 24, so that will actually be his proper points. But I think it could be Rasmus. Jared didn't score much in the points race. He didn't score at all in the points race. Matthew Drujon isn't up there. I'm not sure if Matthew finished all the events. I know he has childcare duties sometimes. And of course, you have to finish all the events to be in the final scoring. But nevertheless, it's great that he came along and lit up some of the events. So good racing overall. I hope you enjoyed that. Check out RGTDB for the final Omnium scores. I know that in a few minutes you're going to be, so stick with ZMS if you want more racing on RGT. I know that in a few minutes you're going to be handed over, I think, to Derek for, I'm not sure what stage it is. It's stage 4. It's one of the stages of the Moon Riders tour, which has been going on for the last few days, and there's another exciting event. And as you will have seen at the beginning, lots of really great events coming up on RGT and on ZMS, of course. One of them being a series that I've been putting on with OTR e-racing. You'll have seen a lot of their events with James Ogilvy and Paul Nichols. It's called Chriso's Dubai Adventure, because I used to live and ride out there for quite a long time. And it's based on a lot of courses that I used to do out in Dubai. We had a long ride around the Palm Jumeirah last week. And that was an amazing course that Paul did. Paul is an absolute genius at doing the magic roads. Next week, we've got a TT around Al Qudra, which is a real life course out in the desert, out near Dubai, 50-kilometer TT. And then we've got some other events like Sharjah Velodrome. We've got some fantastic climbs. There really is very good cycling out in Dubai. It's a little known, you know, people go to Mallorca and the Canary Islands and things like that, Tenerife. But actually, I don't know why more people go. I know a lot of pros actually do go out to Dubai, especially at this time of year and over December, January, because it's a great race, a great place to ride. They got some fantastic facilities. They got some fantastic roads, and they got some absolutely brilliant climbs. And so Paul, with me, we've put them together into an 8-week series. It will sort of omnium. There's going to be actually a couple of elimination races in there, but there's TTs, there's road races, and there's climbs. There's 4 types of races. We do 2 of each, and you have to do 6 of 8, best 6 of 8 count, and you have to do 1 of each style. So you can't just skip the eliminations or skip the TTs or skip the climbs. Excuse me. So that's happening. We had the first race last week, and that's happening over the next 7 weeks. And there's lots of other great races coming up on ZMS, like the West London VR races, the Tour du Monde, which is another OTR race that's going to be going on throughout next year with series of courses around the world. And of course, the big event that's coming up over the next couple of months is the Echelon racing, which is a sort of, well, it is a pro level event. There's pro riders, there's a amateur side of it as well for the normal RGT riders, but there's a lot of pro and semi-pro riders who will be doing that in the racing league starting in November and going over winter. A lot of American riders that come to do that. I know some riders. I know Mike Lister, one of the regular riders that you'll know on RGT, has been accepted into the professional level racing. So, you know, well done to Mike for doing that. He did the community races last year, but we'll be doing the pro level races this year. So all those events coming up, as it says there, look on the Facebook page, Twitter and so on, and on the RGT pages for what's coming up. Damon is incredibly busy, and he just does a fantastic job of doing all the broadcasting of these events. And I hope to be doing some more commentary. Obviously track is my specialty, but I'm doing a little bit of commentary on some of the other races, and I'll probably be doing some of the commentary on the Echelon Racing League in January. Can't do it in the next few weeks. Funny enough, I'm probably out in Dubai myself in the next few weeks. So I'm going to wrap it up there. In a few minutes, you'll be crossing to the Moonriders Tour, I think at 20 past, if I remember correctly. So stay with ZMS and for more racing, more commentary, more exciting events on RGT as we head into this evening. So thanks for joining me. It's been great to be back with TNT, track cycling that I love. Great to be back doing events on RGT, and great to be on ZMS. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Moonriders Tour. We're on stage 4 on the Isle of Wight tonight with a 32-kilometre round, almost 700 metres of climbing, and of course I'm your commentator for the evening. Now this is Matt Looker's home, what shall we say, territory. He lives on the Isle of Man, so I imagine Matt has ridden this ride in real life. That would be my guess anyway. And I expect him to return. He missed the last episode, stage 3, but I expect him to return tonight and take part, as I say, because it's his home venue. So we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to this one because I think you can see from the graphic it's another one with a steep finish, a bit of a kicker at the end, so we'll see what happens tonight, whether it's a similar kind of stage as we had in stage 2, but yeah, it should be a good one tonight. Here we go. So Wouter is still leading the field, as you can see, with 545 points. But Gav has now moved up into second with his 3rd place last week. So Gav's looking good as well. But there's everything to play for. Because what you have to remember, folks, is that this is a 6-event series with 4 to count. So people can drop their 2, I won't say worst, but their 2 least productive stages, or ones that they've missed, and still put in their 4 best ones. So it should be quite exciting. Matt's down in 8th at the moment, but he's missed the stage. So everything to play for tonight, and let's see what happens. Now if you look at the start, it's slightly uphill, so I would expect it to kick off, but you know, I think the riders won't go too hard on this first hill. Let's see what happens as away they go. I do think we'll get a split on this first hill, and we're using the above view just until we get the riders' names all sorted, and then we'll zoom in on the action. But it looks like Gav Ash has gone off the front. Don't expect any break at this point. Nobody's going to run away so early in the race. But that first kicker is going to sort out the groups, I think. I think you'll find, as you can see, the red section coming up in a kilometre or so. That may well just split the groups up. Although they do look pretty strung out at the moment. And it does look like there is a rider off the front, but he's not going to go anywhere at this stage. They're not going to allow a rider off the front to make the break, I don't think. It's actually Gav, so Gav's having a good push here. He's got a 20-metre gap, but like I say, it's too early to push for Steve Brealey's gone with him, in fact. As you can, well, in fact, Steve is pulling the group along, so they'll pull him back. This is not going to stick from Gav. And I think Gav knows that. He's probably just wanting to see who's got the legs tonight. You'll have to excuse my voice and coughing, folks. I'm still full of cold, still not well. So I'm doing the best I can. Now already we can see the no-pins race free R boys. I think I've seen 4 of them so far. So they're out in force again. Don't know who we've got. But I have seen Matt Lucker's name, so yes, in fact, there he is in 9th place at the moment. So Matt's out, like I said he would be. This is his home course. You can see from his flag he lives on the Isle of Wight, so yeah. Sorry, no, it's the Isle of Wight, isn't it? He lives on the Isle of Man. Am I making a nuisance of myself again? I think I am, aren't I? Oh well. Well, that was a shame, because I thought it was the Isle of Man, and of course it's the Isle of Wight. So apologies, folks. Whatever. I still think it's going to be a good race, and I still think Matt is going to be looking to really take advantage of this 4th stage. He needs to pull back some points if he's going to challenge for the overall. He's only got 2 races that he can drop, so he's got to maintain a good point score tonight. We can see Wouter has dropped into 5th place. He's still wearing the leader's yellow jersey. You can see him in the What KG yellow jersey, and it looks well on him, doesn't it, from Moon Riders? Yeah. Steve obviously on the front, the big I've said this many times, but Steve Brealey's a huge engine. He's the real workhorse of No Pins Race 3R. We've got Samet. He's a good rider, often drops off towards the end though, so he tends to and I hope he won't mind me saying this, but he does tend to give everything early on, and then later in the race I've noticed he drops off a little. So will he be able to stay with the action today? As we watch Griffiths pulling them along on the front. But this is the first section of downhill. It's only very short, and then they're into another hill. I won't call it a climb. It's not long enough to be called a climb. But then they get into a rather settled section. They've got a bit of a downhill, then they get into a rather settled section along the valley for a good few kilometres. So it's undulating, but nothing really to worry the riders once they all group up. And I do think that will be the tactic. I do think they will group up and probably stay together. I don't know what the team tactics will be here from No Pins. They may well decide to play the same tactics they did in the first stage of the tour, which is to send men up the road and get people chasing. But it looks like other riders are spoiling that plan, even if they did have it. Like we can see Griffiths here going off the front, but and some following, but they're not going anywhere, folks. Trust me. This is way too early with this valley floor to ride along. Way too early for a break. And my guess is, and to be honest, it's not rocket science. My guess is that the group will more or less stay together until we hit that climb at just over the halfway point that you can see, that red section. And that's where I think it will really kick off. It's not a long climb, but it's reasonably steep enough for the stronger riders to whittle down this group. I say whittle down because this group will definitely whittle down prior to that. They'll push the pace, they'll work together, and slowly but surely you'll see this large group, which is together at the moment, become a war of attrition, and riders will slowly but surely drop off the back. That's the usual tactic. Most riders can't maintain this heavy pace. You can see, you know, almost all the top 10 riders are putting in threshold efforts. Threshold effort, folks, for those that are new to the broadcast and not sure what I'm talking about, threshold efforts are when the figures that you see on screen next to the riders go red, and that means they're basically working above their FTP functional threshold power. And it's a sign that, you know, they can't stay there too long. So yes, they can raise the power. As we have a look at Henry Fowle, the youngster from Welwyn Garden City. Moon Riders. And Henry will just be wanting to sit in the group, try and help his teammates here. We've got Daniel Shock there from Moon Riders as well. He's hoping to be there with Wouter, but you know, it's a very fast pace that's set in here, and let's see how many of these teammates are actually able to stay with the action. I mean, Daniel's got up and joined his teammate Wouter, but you can see he's in the red. He's 7.6. Sorry, no, that's Casper. So Casper's jumped off the front, putting in a 7.6 watt kilo effort, and now he's just easing back. He's easing off. As I say, I think at this early stage, the idea is to just see who's got the legs, see who will chase. So test the riders behind. He's eased up, look, you can see he's only doing 2.8 now. I say only, that's a good pace, but there he is. You get Daniel going whizzing past him, but so that wasn't an effort by Casper to break away. It was more, as he looks behind him, but it was more a case of, okay, who's got legs tonight? Who's feeling strong? Casper is a class act. He's doing well in the standings as well. So I don't know this this Griffiths that we've been watching jumping off the front. When I say I don't know him, I don't know much about him, so I need to look him up, but he certainly looks a strong rider. He's on the front again here, you can see. But the key is, and something which I've noticed in the previous editions of this tour, it's the riders that tend to stay out of the limelight, stay off the front and just tuck themselves in the pack, hardly get noticed, and that definitely happened last week. When David took the win, Blodgett took the win, he was virtually unseen, and then came along and took the race. Sorry, not last week. That was I'm getting mixed up again. But yeah, the riders that like stay in the pack and are hardly mentioned, and then come to the front at the end of the race. It's pretty impressive. But it's way too early to call out tactics or anything else tonight. Well, not tactics, but to call out, you know, what's going to transpire, because this can go in different ways. I do think the stronger riders are going to stay together till they hit that first decent climb. And a couple of kickers in between might thin it down a little bit, but it's not until we get to that climb just after mid-distance that we're going to see, and we see Matt taking his first turn on the front. So Matt Looker. Nice to see Ryan. I don't know if we've got any pain cams tonight. Oh, we have. There he is on screen in his pain cave. I mean, Ryan, I am so impressed with the way that he rides these events. He was outside the top 10 last week and pulled back 2 places right in the last few meters. Absolutely buried himself, and the pain cam was running at the time, so we could actually watch him, watch the effort he was putting in, and he was blowing out of every orifice. I mean, he really did put in a good effort. Looks like his webcam's just playing up a little bit there. But yeah, having said that, he's now been distanced, so he's got his work cut out. He needs to get on the wheel, get on Lyndon's wheel. Here we go. Get on his wheel, get pulled back. because Lyndon Poco is a strong workhorse as well. And Ryan, sure enough, look, has got on his wheel, so they may well get back to that group in front of them. As we watch Casper putting in another dig on the front, another threshold effort, look, above threshold. So here we go. He's really trying to see who's going to do the chasing tonight. It'd be interesting to see whether he tries to keep this going, because he's got 50 meters now, 60 meters. So it'd be interesting to see whether he tries to keep this going or whether he eases up and lets them come back to him. I mean, they're not really worried about this behind. Otherwise, you'd have seen riders really putting the power down. I think they're giving Casper a little bit of road. You've got the Moon Riders and Griffiths as trying to pull them along at a bit of a faster pace. But my belief is that Casper isn't going to, this is not going to stick. I maintain what I've said. It's way too, there you go, they got him back. It's way too early. It's actually Wouter himself with his teammate Daniel that's pulling Casper back. So he's decided, okay, you guys are not going to do the work, I'm going to, and you know, they've only got a 10-meter gap, but if these three work together, possibly, they've got other riders joining them now. But there is a little bit of a gap. Can they, no, I was getting excited thinking maybe they could push it, but they can't. This is not, the gap's not big enough. It's 10 meters to Samut in 5th place, but that's not enough. They need more than that. But they've got to be careful, because if they let a rider of Wouter's class and you know, a teammate like Daniel Schock go off the front and get 20-30 meters, they're going to be gone. Goodbye and thank you. They'll take the race. But it's back together. So who's going to have the next dig, I wonder? Casper, once again, he does like to push off the front. And very, very quickly, look, he's got content gone with him this time. I don't know which team Casper rides for, Casper Hedidum. If anybody's listening and wants to comment on the Facebook comments, please do so. What team does Casper ride for? I should know, because I've certainly looked at his Palmares and everything, but I can't remember, I'll be honest, and I don't have it in my notebook, so I will put it there as soon as somebody informs me. Content though, Christoph Content from Pedalers, he's a really solid rider as well. He's always there or thereabouts in the results. So, but it's this Griffiths I'm wondering where he's come from. And last week we had a rider from Nopin's Race for R turn up, and he was definitely a class act. Took the win, as we see Matt this time going off the front. But again, he's not really, you can see, I'm saying, look at his wattage, he's putting in 500 watts, so this is a determined effort off the front. But yeah, the group is pulling him back. I mean, Wouter is shadowing him without a shadow of a doubt. He's not going to let him go. And there he goes, swapping position. So Wouter comes all the way past him and quickly gets a 9-meter gap. This is classic stuff. They're going hammer and tongs at this, aren't they? It's very enjoyable. I do enjoy it when you get racing like this, and you know the riders really prepared to battle it out amongst each other, rather than you know. I used to watch a lot of early races, and this was before I started commentating. But I used to watch a lot of races, and I was a little bit let down by the fact that so many of them, especially on the flatter courses, the riders would sit in and then leave it to the sprint in the end, which sprints are exciting, but you know, I like to see this. I mean, they're on the rolling terrain here in the valley, and look at what's happening. They're really trying to break each other apart. A bit of a kicker here as we go up this 6%. And Casper pulling them along on the front, but everybody's here. Everybody that matters is here at the moment. So couple of names I don't really really recognise, but I'll do my homework later. Have we seen Gray? Yes, we have. We've seen Gray before. He's in my notebook. Yeah, and obviously Stanley we've seen before. Stephen Brearley. I've said as much as I can say about Stephen. He's the total workhorse. If I was choosing anybody to be, you know, a teammate in a team, it would be Steve. Sport rider, I meant, you know, teammate, sport rider. He's just so strong. This is our first look at Stanley. As we switch to Daniel Shock. So what, no pins have got 1, 2, 3, they've got 4 riders, haven't they, in this group, which is reasonably significant. I think that could be telling later on in the look. You can see 4 of them. How many moon riders have we got? I think we've got 3 moon riders. As we have a look at Mads. Yeah, I haven't even mentioned Mads, and Mads is a good rider as well. Mads Klinggrad. He's a solid rider from out of Denmark as well. In fact, it seems to me that most of the Danish riders seem to be very, very strong. Must be the wind they've got up there. I'm living in the Netherlands, and we don't have hills, but we have the wind, and boy does that make you strong. And Gav Ash is just doing the right thing by sitting in. Look, he's just, you know, he's hardly ever been on the front now since all this action kicked off. He's just, yeah, he's just sitting in, saving energy. Good tactics. He'll be there at the end, trust me. And Matt is doing much the same. He's doing his turns on the front, but he's also, you know, taking nice recovery as his teammate Steinle on the front pulls them along. Mark, that's, yeah. I'm terrible with names, folks. I've already spoken about my memory problems that I have. So unless I'm actually putting my eyes into my book and looking at my notes, I don't remember the names from the first names from one week to the next. I've just got such a terrible memory. I mean, obviously the riders that I know personally. or that I see on a really regular basis, then yeah, they stick. But I can still forget at a moment's notice. So it looks like I've called this fairly well for the time being, and that's I said that the group would more or less stay together until we get to this this mid-distance climb. Well, it's just after mid-distance. What are we now? We're almost at the halfway point. So the climb comes just after halfway, and I think that's going to be, how many have we got in this group at the moment? I mean, there's a little bit of a gap here, but this is almost all together, you can see, and it's a huge group. But this will most certainly be whittled down on this upcoming climb. And they need to, as we've got Daniel and Wouter, they've got 25 meters here. That's not going to be enough. And the group behind are chasing. So yes, they're pushing along strongly, but this is not going anywhere. I think I can safely say that. This time, I mean, who's to say this isn't weakening some of the riders behind? Having said that, they're pushing it out, you know, they've got 32 meters now. So they need to pull this back, because my guess is if Wouter can stay with his teammate Shock and get onto the climb and put in a really big effort, if they get up to the top of the climb with what they've got now, 40 meters, they're gone. They're gone if they get to the top of this climb with 40 meters, because 40 meters behind the group will be on the climb, and the gap on the downhill will grow exponentially. I mean, it'll grow to 200-300 meters if these two get to the top of the climb first. And you can see, I mean, Wouter is so strong, he's really pushing on here. He's trying to get the maximum gap. The riders behind have realised and have started to pull it back, and they have to, because if they got to the top of that climb with a decent gap, it'd be all over. So they're doing the right thing here, they're pulling it back. Here you see Matt Looker getting on the front. They've got to, but it's now back out to 60 odd meters, you know. This is getting dangerous. This is getting very dangerous, because like I say, you can see when it goes slightly downhill like it did there, the gap opens up. So imagine what the gap is going to be if these two can get to the top of the climb, maintaining the gap they've got at the moment. I don't say growing it, but if they can maintain what they've got at this moment in time, then by the time they get to the top and start rolling down the other side, it's going to grow to 200, 300, 400 meters or more. So now, is Wouter easing up? No, he's still doing 5 watt kilos. So he's not easing up at all. But the group behind are putting in a bit of an effort, and they've pulled it back slightly. Exciting stuff, folks. I make no apologies if I do get a little overexcited, because I really enjoy this kind of racing. And we've had this almost every stage. I mean, it's been, the first stage was wonderful. The team tactics from no pins was fantastic to watch. But the second and third stage were also really nice stages. Now, Daniel has dropped off the back, and what he will try and do is he will try and slow down the group behind. So he'll try and stay on the front of them, but just sort of like ease up gently. I don't think they'll have any of it. I think, yeah, there you go. That is a valid tactic, but what's happened there is Daniel has tried to slow the group down, and they've just said, you know, beggar you, we're going straight past you. And that's what they've done. So they've gone straight past him because they want to keep the pace up, and they are closing Wouter down here. And in fact, Wouter's, I think he's realised that his game's up here. He needed that 40-50 metres at the top of this climb, and he's not going to get that. They've got him down to 20 now, so he's not going to get his 40-50 metres. Had he done so, I genuinely think he might have stayed away. But and now the question becomes something which I talk about a lot in my broadcasts, is riders burning matches. And basically every rider sets out with a box of matches, basically powering the legs, and every time they burn a match, it's one less in the box. And by the end of a race, if you've burnt all your matches, you've nothing left to finish with. Now the question is going to be, how much has that taken out of Wouter? Can he recover? They're on the climb now, so he's not going to recover on the climb. You can see the next section after the climb with the groups all together. That's a good opportunity to sort of like sit back and relax. But surely the likes of there's 4 no-pins riders. Their tactic has got to be, once they get over the top of this hill or mountain or whatever it is, slope, once they get over the top of this hill, no-pins have got to start working Wouter over. They can't allow him to recover in the pack, because if he does, he's going to be as strong again at the end. They've got to try and work him over, and with 4 riders there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. So let's see how they play it and what happens. I mean, Gavash is not going to pull away here. Yes, he's a very strong rider, but with only like a 14-metre gap, that's not enough. Having said that, he's starting to grow it, but no, they're going to pull him back here. They're not going to allow this gap to grow, because if they do, you know, a gap can open significantly once you crest the hill. If you've got, you need to be careful. Gavy's still putting in 5 watt kilos here. He's putting in 6.9 there, just as he crests the 10% section, look. So this, I did say it went steep at the end, and it's gone up to 10.7. I think that's probably about the steepest part of it. There you go, as he's now rolling down the other side with a 23 metre, but watch this gap grow. Okay, it won't grow for long because the other riders behind, in fact, there you go, the riders behind are also on the downslope, and they're going to catch him, because a fast moving group will certainly go a lot faster than a solo rider. But as he gets onto the blue section and they're on the green section, then yeah, he opens up a little bit of a gap. Oh, that's really sad, Ryan. Ryan Dummer has had to drop out after 10 kilometres because he's having glitches with his avatar spinning around and grinding to a halt. Yes, Ryan, other riders have reported this, and in fact I covered a race yesterday, and in fact I covered 2 races yesterday, and in both races this was happening. Riders were having dropouts, and they assured me that it wasn't their Wi-Fi or anything that was dropping out. So yeah, there are definitely glitches, which is really sad, and I'm sad to lose you. I did wonder what was happening earlier when you were dropping off, because I would have expected you to be with this group here. Very, very sad to see that. Very sad, because Ryan was getting up there as well in the top 10, and well, higher than the top 10, you know. It was really really good to see him riding. Watch Klingsgaard on the front, but this Now, remember back to what I said prior to them coming over this this last hill, folks. I did say that it would split the pack up, and sure enough, it has done so. Now, the surprise for me is that they've managed to distance no pins, and there isn't a single no pins rider in this front group. And to be honest, these lads are gone. They are not going to catch these lads, and in fact Wouter, look, realises that. He realises he's got a race winning in terms of he doesn't have to win the race, but if he finishes ahead of Matt Looker and the rest of the riders in the second group, then it's a win for him tonight. You can see that Matt and Steve are trying here to get back on terms, but they're not going to do so. That's my prediction anyway. They're not going to get back. They've allowed a gap to go. Well, I say allowed. They probably had no bloody choice, but this fellow is a class act. Really is. And Wouter also has verified his performances with a webcam and on the Ride Fair Facebook page. So Wouter is a class act. And I love to see him racing, actually. Will he keep this gap, or will the team behind him close up? As we watch, who's this we're watching? Samut. Haven't really covered Samut tonight. Now these three have opened up a little bit of a gap, 40 metres on Griffiths and Gav. So and then so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders here chasing the 3 riders up the front. It may come back together. 40 metres is certainly bridgeable, and in fact you can see it on the road. They are bridging. So yeah, expect these 7 riders to all come back together on this next section, and then they'll possibly work together to distance the group 2 on the road. You know, Steve Brearley, Matt Looker, and the rest of the team. So this is a really good effort, and it must be heartbreaking. 9 kilometers to the finish. Wouter leading them out, and Matt is just almost a kilometer behind now, and that's just too much to make up. You're not going to close that kind of distance. So it'll be interesting to see. No, it's less than that. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong graphic. It's the riders behind Matt that were a kilometre behind. So yeah, they have actually pulled back some of the distance, but they're not going to get back on terms, I don't think. And nobody's really helping Wouter either. He's having to push on the front. Well, I'm saying nobody, as Casper's just taken over. Wouter's gone back to the front again. I think he's wanting to keep the pace really, really high, but these 7 are going to come back together. I predict that anyway. I genuinely think that the 4 riders behind will catch these 3, and it'll end up being a nice, tidy, little tight group. But I've been known to be wrong before. We'll see. Exciting racing though. As we watch Klinksgaard pushing Group 2 along on the road, and in fact he's joined So he's bridged across, and I think we'll find some of the other riders bridging across as well. So here comes Kingsguard. He's getting on Wouter's wheel. And the other riders are only a few meters behind. So yeah, I think this will come back together. There's Mads putting in a good effort here to bridge across. But he's probably getting tired legs from doing it. He needs a bit of help from these other 3 riders behind. A bit of a surprise, maybe I blew him up too much, but it's a bit of a surprise to see Gav dropping off the back, but I do genuinely think he will get back up to the front of the race and possibly be in contention for a podium spot. He's in 2nd place at the moment, he's Gavash, so you know, he'll be looking to rejoin the front of the race. And there he goes. Is he going to bridge across himself? Yeah, he's fed up of waiting. He's going to bridge across himself now. Maybe content can help him. In fact, it looks like they're all... Yeah, there you go. All coming back together. I like it when I get my predictions right. Content is feeling strong, so he's gone off to the front, as has Gav. So that's a nice catch, folks. And if these riders work together, they've got a 400 meter gap now almost. In fact, it is 400 meters. So I don't see them being caught at all. And now it's just a case of these 7 riders fighting it out amongst themselves. And the race tonight, I think it's going to be a close call between, well, the 3 riders I'm thinking will be fighting for the podium spots is Casper, the rider that's just jumped off the front. This is not going to stick, not at this point. But Casper's just jumped off the front. Gav, who's currently in 3rd place, 4th place now, 5th place. Yeah, Gav is dropping back. Doesn't look as strong as in previous weeks, so maybe Gav isn't going to. I don't know, unless he's just taking a breather. But my pick would be Wouter or Casper tonight. Samut, don't really know too much about his Palmares. So I'm reluctant to call Samut, but he looks a very strong rider as he goes into 2nd place on the road with Wouter on his wheel. But yeah, I would say Wouter's looking very, very strong tonight. He's riding well, he's looking strong. Never discount Gav though, or Christoph content. But I just think Casper and Wouter, current 1 and 2 on the road, are the 2 that are going to fight this out towards the end. Although Samut could have something to say, because he's looked really, really strong all race. It doesn't look like he's been in any difficulty at all. So it'll be interesting, and I really need to have a look at his Palmares and see what kind of results he's been having. But Wouter is just looking strong as well. He's riding a terrific race. I mean, wonderful tactics to go as early as he did and establish this break, and it's stuck. I was surprised when the group all came back together just after that climb. I genuinely did not believe that Wouter would get away like this so early. I'm a bit shocked actually. I'll have to re-watch the footage myself to see when the actual because it just happened so suddenly. And here again, you see they've already pulled out Casper and Wouter and Samut have gone. They're away, they've gone. Goodbye and thank you. We'll have the worst win, thank you very much. You're all fighting for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place. Good night and thank you. Because they're gone. They're not going to get caught. And in fact, Samo is struggling to, such is the pace being set by Wouter and Casper, that Samo is struggling to hold the wheels. Now it could come back together, but I don't know. I just think Wouter is riding out of his skin, and really look at him on the front, really pushing the pace up. We've only 3.7 to go. Yes, there's this steep climb coming up, but we know that Wouter can climb. We know he's got the watts. So, and he's not really a heavyweight either. He's a good all-round rider. So, and he actually won a race at the weekend. I think it was last night, in fact, the Night Rider series. I asked Samir to give me a graphic for my news show, and Samir didn't have a results graphic, but he did tell me that Wouter won. So he got another win last night. And if you look on RGTDB website, look up his name and just look at his results. Phenomenal rider. He's got an awful lot of wins on there, an awful lot of good results. As we watch Casper putting in threshold effort, but so now is Wouter. Now that he's on the climb, going into threshold, above threshold rather. But Casper 7.4, 6 from Wouter. Yeah, Casper's a strong climber. We've seen this before. We've seen him pull away on climbs. Can Wouter just stay with him, or? I mean, he'll be pacing himself. He'll know what he can do. But just look how steep this is, folks. 17%. Went up to 17.3 there, and you can see it on the road. You can, yeah. I mean, it's this is 10%, and this is the easy section. You saw it climb up there to 17.3. Look, there you go. Wow. So 2 sections of 17.3. I don't know if it goes any steeper, but that must be horrible. As we watch, Gavash has now moved into 3rd place. I did say he would probably get a podium spot. So have I called 1, 2 and 3? All right, I called Wouter as the winner and Casper in 2nd place. It could be the other way around, but have I called 1, 2 and 3? Because we've got Casper, we've got Wouter and we've got Gav, and they were my picks for 1, 2 and 3. So, but it looks like the order could be changing around, because Gav's catching Wouter now. And is Wouter paying for all that hard work he put in? Because he really did make a huge effort to get away from the no-pins team, who are miles behind now. Yes, they've closed up some of the meters, they've closed up some of the gap, but they're not even in this anymore. 2.3 kilometers to go for Casper. And yeah, they're going to pull back some more meters, I would have thought, on this climb. But the race is basically, I think Casper's got this. I can't see him being caught now. He's got a 66 meter gap with 2.2 kilometers to go, and they're still on the climb. He's possibly got this, but Gav might have something to say. Gav is chasing hard and bringing the gap down, actually. Oh, wouldn't he be a great winner? Gav in 2nd place, if he could take the win here. And in fact, Wouter's been caught by Klingsgaard as well, so Wouter's falling back. Remember back to what I said about matches in the box, folks, and I said, would Wouter pay for his efforts later on in the race? And this is why I use the analogy of, you know, matches in a box, in a matchbox, and you only having so many, because there's no doubt about it, Wouter is now suffering. He's now losing ground. Can he stay away? He's in 6th place, but he's losing ground very, very quickly here. Can he stay away from Race 3R team, the No-Pins team? This has changed around far more than I thought it would. I genuinely thought Wouter would have left enough in the tank to finish strong, but he's obviously burnt his matches too early in the race. I mean, brilliant tactic to drop the Race 3R guys, but whew. So you've got 9, 10 and 11 are the No-Pins Race 3R team on the road. The 120 metres behind, sorry, how far behind? They're about 100 metres behind 8th place, I think, so give or take. So they could possibly claw their way a bit further up the mountain and the standings, but I doubt it. I think the positions they're in now are probably going to be the finishing positions. Matt is obviously pushing on ahead of Steve to try and claw back some of the distance, but no, he's fighting a losing battle here. 1.3 kilometres to go. There's not enough road left, folks, for riders now. Wouter is going to try and claw back a couple of places, I've no doubt. He's a very strong finisher, if he's got anything left. I mean, it looks like he really suffering early on. As you see, he's struggling, is the lad. He's capable of higher, well, in fact he's going into the threshold now, but I reckon he's struggling. And just look, 19.6%. Oh, you cool man. Who's done this course? There we go. I mean, that's just insane, eh? I mean, look at it. It looks like a wall. This is really going to hurt the riders. It starts to ease a little bit, but he's almost at the top now. I think it just goes through the banner, round to the left, and then it starts to drop. So not much more, well, I'm saying drop. The gradient starts to drop. It's actually an uphill finish. So there's no let up in terms of you're climbing all the way to the end. But the gradient eases just as you go around this bend here, and you can see it, the graphic, 19.1% just on that bend. But it should start to ease off very, very soon. As you can see, he's almost at the crest of this hill, probably around this next bend, and it will start to ease. Wow. And he's got 100 metres, so Casper's got this. This is another good win from Casper. There he is. The gradient easing, look, so he'll rush into the finish now, and the gap will obviously grow because he's on the easier section. Riders behind are still climbing, so expect this gap to grow probably about 300 metres or more. before the riders behind actually also crest the hill and start to pull it back. Yeah, it's over 300 meters now. So Klingsgaard is holding on to his third place, but he's being chased by Gray. So there's a nice battle going on there, but I think we're going to stick with Casper and watch him come under the finish banner as we switch to Gav. No, I think you should get back to the front and watch Casper coming in. There we go. Yeah, so Casper's going to come into the finish now. 300 meters to go. He's got this in the bag. You can see the finish banner up ahead. He'll be glad to see it. There's no two ways about it after that kind of climb. I mean, that was brutal, but well done. And a nice effort to finish with. Just round the bend and you can see the banner. There you go. You can see it from further down the hill, but he's just going to roll in now. I'm saying rolling, 4 kilos. He gives me a wave. Well done, Casper. Good ride, mate. Very well done. And Gav's going to take second. He's not going to get caught for second place. So we switch. Yeah, there we go. Switching to Gav at the moment. With Gray and Klingsgaard, I think, are going to be fighting for third place. So it might even come to a sprint because they're neck and neck at the moment. So who's your money on, Gray? Or, I don't know anything about Gray really. I haven't got any details in my note, but it looks like Klingsgaard is leaving him behind. So Klingsgaard's going to take third. But look at the watts being put out. Yeah, Klingsgaard gets third, and Gray seconds behind him, if that. So what's the next battle on the road? Okay, the next battle could be Wouter and Contant, because Griffiths is going to come in next. Here we go, and Wouter takes Contant on the line. Wow, fantastic. So Wouter pulls himself up into 6th place. Contant in 7th. Samut, who got dropped earlier on, is going to take a nice 8th. He's finishing strong. And then it'll be the 3 no-pins riders. Now, what order they finish in? Is team tactics going to come into play here? Is Steinley going to let Matt Looker take the points, or is he going to maintain his own points? This will be interesting. No, he's not going to ease up. He's 300 meters in front of Matt. So he's going to come into the finish. Sometimes team tactics will come into play, but it doesn't make any sense when there's this kind of distance between them. So Mark Steinley will take 9th place. Matt Looker will come in 10th. And then Steve will take the 11th spot. So 3 in a row, 9th, 10th and the 11th for no pins race 3R. And they'll be devastated tonight. I think I can safely say that. I don't think this race went the way they expected. It certainly didn't go the way I expected. I knew that Casper and Wouter would be strong, but I didn't expect them to demolish the no pins team like they've done tonight. I mean, there's no other way to, you can't wrap this any other way, folks. This has been a thrashing tonight. But there's time to bounce back. There's time to bounce back. And the lad that they had riding last week, you know, I'm really struggling as we watch the 2 Moonrider riders come in, Daniel and Henry Farrell. But I can't remember his name, the lad that won last week. You'll have to forgive me, folks. But the no pins rider, he really put in a class ride, and if they bring him back, then anything can happen. So, because he really did win with ease last week. And Daniel wants to go for the point, so he's just, I say that, and then Henry goes round him. So, a fight between the Moonriders for 12th and 13th, with Berube taking 14th. and Jonathan Stevens, rider we know very well, taking 15th place. Now we're going to stay with all the riders coming in, folks. We never, well, I'm saying we sometimes have to, but whenever possible, we stay with all the riders coming in. So that's what we're going to do tonight. At least I hope so. Yeah, and I'm just reading my messages, and this is Isle of Wight, not Isle of Man. Yeah. I realised that, Damon. What a mistake I made. I mean, what a fool I made of myself there. But hey, can't get it right all the time. At least I get the results right most of the time. As we watch Neugebauer coming in, Daniel, Stanner. Yeah, I can't get it right all the time. Olaf, that's it. Olaf Stanner, yeah. So apart from whittling on about Matt Looker coming from the Isle of Man and this being on the Isle of Man, of course it was the Isle of Wight. Two completely different islands. Oh dear. Feel a bit of a fool, but never mind. At least I know my stuff when it comes to the racing, folks. I mean, I don't know if you watched the other races I covered. I got the tactics spot on when I covered the Dubai adventure on Sunday. I called out the tactics there absolutely perfectly as we watch Olaf come over the line. So yeah, in my defence, some of the time I get it right. Rod Simons coming in, the Belgium. Cabramanca from Portugal. Pedro. Nice ride, Pedro. Who else we got? Roy Neal, yes, we know Roy. And Roy was riding really, Roy Rocket. Yeah, I'm surprised to see him so far back actually, because he really went like a rocket in some of the previous stages. So I wonder if he's had issues tonight. For me, the really sad news of the evening as we watch I can't even pronounce his name, Yashi come over the line. Yeah. I can't pronounce that name, I'm sorry. Mr. Holmes from New Zealand. Yeah, Tim Holmes. But yeah, the really sad news for me tonight, and this is Ivor Isafor, a rider we saw riding well at the weekend. And then Lyndon Poco was riding very strong early on in the race, and then I think the pace just broke a lot of riders, and I said that is what would happen because the pace being set on the front by Wouter and the rest of the gang was just phenomenal. I mean, and it broke a lot of the riders early on. Eduardo, yeah, regular finisher. So we like to stop with all the riders coming in, because these riders, you know, they deserve their limelight as well, finishing every stage. But Ben Lilburn. I like his team jersey, and you can see the graphics updating as the riders are coming in as well. So there's Ben over the line, and this is Robin Sanderson being caught by Fox. Robin Sanderson, as I say. Are they going to have it? Is Robin going to take it? Yeah, Robin just keeps his 30th place, just holds off James Fox. I think this is Nick Walker from OTR. Neil, sorry Neil. Yeah, I should remember. Neil Walker, Lamont. Ewan, that's a proper Scottish name, isn't it? So yeah, for me, I tried to get my words out earlier, but the real shame tonight was losing Ryan Dummer, the lad that was on the pain cam, and he had technical issues. He had dropouts very early on, and he actually had to drop out of the race after 10 kilometers because I noticed him dropping back very early on, and I did wonder if he was having issues, because it's not like Ryan to be away from the action so early. And he informs me that he was just getting his avatar was spinning and he was getting dropouts. And quite a few riders have reported glitches over this weekend. I've covered now 4 races over this weekend, and in every single race riders were reporting dropouts. Now that could be down to their end, but I genuinely think that there are still a few bugs left that need ironing out. But we'll have to wait and see as we watch Harris coming in. Is this Thomas? I think. Terence Harris. Yeah, there is a Thomas coming in later, but Thomas Helveg. Here we go. Danish rider. And then we have my old Team 3R teammate, Evan Oystensen. I think he's just been spinning his legs tonight. He's a much stronger rider than this stage suggests, that's for sure. Maybe he's oh, look at this. Oh, when will it end? Poor guys on this steep slope. As we watch Rohan overtake Glenn the shot. With a Belgian rider here. I don't know his real name. VHB, whatever that stands for. But he's obviously saved something to the end because he's pulling out a nice gap on Glenn behind. Both from Belgium. Anyway, while we're watching this rider coming in, the other news to tell you is that I'm going to be live streaming the 5th stage tomorrow night on my live stream. ZMS are not able to cover it, so I'm covering it. I'll kick it off nice and early. We'll log on nice and early and make sure that I've got everything up and running and smooth as silk before we actually start the broadcast. So yeah, I will definitely be online early tomorrow night to make sure that we get away with a good start and a good stream. We watch VHB coming in and then switch to Glenn. and I think we've only got a couple more riders left now. Thank you, Nick, appreciated. I'm not so sure about the brilliant bit though, after I got that that Matt Looker Isle of Man, Isle of Wight mistake tonight though. I'll never live that down. What a mistake to make. And this, I think, is the last of the Moon Riders. Andrew Goff coming in. So they've got lots of riders and lots of depth to the team as well. Well done, Andrew. Another Portuguese rider, Alves. We've seen this. David, that's his name. Yeah, I was just about to say, is it David? I remember from previous weeks. There was one particular stage. I don't know which one it was of the 3 previous ones, but there was one stage of this tour where there were more Portuguese riders riding than any other country. That's not been the case tonight. I mean, I don't particularly check, but you couldn't help but notice because it seemed like every 4th rider was a Portuguese rider. As we watch Scott Crichton coming in, he's another regular. So a lot of these riders, I recognise them. Lars is another regular. Because I do spend a bit of time trying to cover the last riders on the road. Now Damon is actually telling me that the last person on the road, what we got 43, is like 7.4 kilometers behind. So on this occasion we are not going to stay and wait for the 60th rider to come in, folks. What we generally do is we generally try and capture all the riders coming into the finish, but when there are huge gaps, and sometimes it can be that the riders have had technical issues in this lot and dropouts, and I think, to be fair to us as broadcasters, we have to draw the line somewhere. You know, we have to cut it off somewhere. Now we generally try and get all the riders coming in, but if we've got a big gap to the last riders coming in and we have to stay online like another 30 minutes or so to watch that rider coming in, it's not really doable. And Damon from ZMS is going into hospital tomorrow, which is why he can't do the stream. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning that online. I need to get back to my family as well. I mean, so we're gonna wrap up the broadcast. I'll leave it up to Damon to decide when to wrap it. I'm ready to go now, Damon, if you want to wrap it. And I'll say good night to everybody when I see the credits coming up. So your call, sir. Damon can obviously hear what I'm saying, and he's the one putting these graphics on the screen for you. So, but yeah, you have to realise, folks, we cannot always cover every rider coming in. It's just, and here we go. We're looking at stage 5, which I'm covering tomorrow. It's going to be a longer tour tomorrow, 42 kilometers. Not much elevation in that 42, so it's going to be a fast affair. Expect this to be something like a team time trial, because I have no doubt 42 kilometers, we're looking at about an hour 15 maybe for the winners, maybe a little bit less if they're really pushing the pace along. But you can see it's a straight out route with few kinks in it, and it's going to be fast. There's no two ways about it. It's going to be fast. Hopefully the riders can recover, and the legs are going to be okay for tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you. I'll be online in plenty of time. So, and we'll see what other news I can report on from this tour tonight. Now, this video will go live on the Facebook groups, but I'll also do an edit and probably post that sometime in the very near future. And on that note, I'm going to say good night and thanks for watching. Please hit the like button, and we'll see you. What time are we going live tomorrow? 7:30 GMT, but I'll be online from about 7 o'clock or 1900 hours GMT tomorrow. See you then. Thanks all. Stay safe.